Hey, this is Jupiter from Manlius, New York, and I am back to burn the stockpile with my co-host.
Dominic from Canada, also part of the A team.
Hey, and we have a fun one for you guys today, for all you Trekkies and other people out there. We are bringing to you the artwork of the Hapless Cadet.
Oh no,
He's a red shirt, but he's actually wearing orange.
I was just thinking that myself. He's definitely a red shirt.
Cool. So I will let you do the artist intro and all that since this is your piece that you picked out, and then we can get into any discussion we need to. I will preface this also with you are going to hear lots of Harlan in the background. He is at high level energy today. Sorry, I can't really do that, but this is our time slot to record, and so we're going to do it. So let's go.
Hey, I'll just plug in. I don't think you have to be sorry about that at all. I'm pretty sure there's lots of families listening in, and they're probably like, "Hey, it's refreshing to hear that you got a kid in the background that you got to take care of. It is what it is, right?" But getting into the artist, that's a weird segue, by the way. But getting into the artist, so FFG went really far with this one. So they went to a unique part of the world. They said, "Hey, we need to find an artist to do some interesting art." So they went to their own home city of Minnesota. And from Minneapolis, Minnesota, we have Brandon Hunt. Um, so really cool local artist that they picked up. You can see quite a bit of his work on Art Station, and that's where we got this piece, and that's where we get a lot of our pieces. I would say all of our pieces so far have been coming from Art Station, but if there is local artists out there that do Keyforge art, and you have these full art, if you're allowed to show it to us, I mean, eventually we'll run out of the ones that are on here unless people keep updating, which I'm sure they will. But yeah, just reach out to our channel. We'd love to get you. But really excited to talk about Brandon Hunt's Hapless Cadet here because, like Jupiter said, this is a fun piece. Lots of Star Wars reference. Star Alliance just has lots of Star Wars reference, and it's just super fun.
Yeah, so and kicking off in the tradition that we normally have, I guess I have to go first since he picked it out, and so I will say that this is an interesting piece, right? And like the thing that like gets me the most, I think the thing that most people will miss the most is that there's a extra couple bodies in this picture that are interesting to look at, right? That are basically they poke your interest of who they may be. Now, there could be lots of debate about the alien in the background. Like it could be any of the aliens from Star Alliance. It could be any of the humans from Star Alliance, right? But they have body shapes and stuff. So I'm kind of curious to who you think they might be. So I'm not gonna take a guess at these yet. There's even a droid back there, right? Like so, like it's interesting, right? But Star Alliance's like lore here is that they're basically supposed to be exploring and stuff like that. But there is one character in this picture that is without a doubt there, and I think, in my opinion, and that is EA on the fringes. And if you don't know or don't see that, look at the reflection in the top of the bubble of his head. Like there is definitely a spider coming down on this hapless cadet, and he looks petrified. And he has good reason to be because EA is a bad little spider. I also like the fact that they kind of incorporated what I think is a cloaking dongle and the plasma cannons into this. And I'll leave it at that part and let you have some fun because there's really not a whole lot of things to go here. But I'm gonna say that those are the couple of big things that instantly caught my eye, minus the actual art elements that are here that I'll talk about after you're done.
No, it sounds great. 100% is that I actually think that the cadets or the Star Alliance crew that you see in the background there, the three members, I think that the two on the left are 100% supposed to be just random members of the Star Alliance, and I would dare say that all three of them are actually supposed to be just random members of the Star Alliance group. Though the one on the right almost looks like it's like First Officer Fran or Frayne, however you want to pronounce it there, because she's wearing like the same she has the same headgear, in my view, but this is a very rough shot to see it. Like it's really hard. And it's supposed to be because your focus is supposed to be on the hapless cadet. So I think that is in my off in my view, I think that's first officer Frame. Uh, and if that's the case, and the reason why I say that is that she almost looks like she is leading the expedition into this like dis-looking cave, which I also agree that it may be E on the fringes or some dis creature in general. It may not be a spider. I almost see it as like a mouth. I could also see it as it looks like a spider coming down type of thing. But I really like this piece of art because first two things that pop out at you is that the hapless cadet. So what does hapless mean? Well, it means unfortunate. The unfortunate cadet, and it's unfortunate because something bad is about to happen to this cadet, and it's all being set up. Oops, he dropped his weapon, and he has a warning going off. You look at his control panel there, and you can see that there's a warning going off, and there's a spike saying that there's some sort of danger that's happening. So yeah, there's something that's gonna come to his attention, and it's a very much like it's taken straight out of a movie is what I was trying to say before I had to do that sneeze. I apologize. But it feels like it's almost out of Aliens because he has that same, almost like the same look of fear right before an alien is about to just jump on to one of the humans, one of the Terrans there, and just kill them off. And in this case, he's like, "Uh oh, what's going to happen here?" And yeah, so there's just a lot of fun stuff. I love the cave feature. It has obviously the purple color related to disc. That's why both Jupiter and myself think that is some disc creature. I believe that it's possibly on the fringes, like he said, or it could be a generic creature. I believe everything else can potentially be generic, or it may be a hint at on the fringes there. He's not going to get to his weapon on time, and yeah, it's an interesting piece. There's a few more things I'm going to cover here in a bit, but I'm going to pass it over to Jupiter as I take care of this sneeze I got.
Yeah, I'll take it for you. But another thing cool is like there is a bunch of things going on here with the way that he positioned this too, right? Because like we want the focus to be on his face because his face is dreadful, right? And like obviously he's doing the red shirt thing from Star Trek where he's about to die. I'm guessing, and I'm like with my situation is I think that that reflection on top of his helmet just looks like EA on the fringes, and I think it was made to be that way with the choice of how he decorated this cave because there's all of this like these that is interesting shapes, right? Like with these hanging down like little stalagmites and stalactites like coming up and down in the cave. And so like the shadow maybe was something that was meant to be kind of missed and then seen at a later date because of the thing. And the reason I say that it's EA is because when you actually look up EA of the Fringes like card art, you can see that the way they drew EA is basically descending down from a rooftop, right? And so like I think that there's a pretty good correlation between the two. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be EA, obviously, because there's plenty of disc creatures that probably look similar, like all the bugs and stuff that they have, and the drumbles and the imps and stuff like that. But I just like I want to think that this is EA because like it just gives more flavor to the game for me, and I think that also that the curves that are in the cave are being like amplified by the arm, the way that the arm is bent. I like the way that he kind of used the hand and arm to kind of give you that circular motion of the cave, to give you that depth of the people behind it, and it kind of crops and frames the people that are in the background there, and kind of lets you know that like, oh, look at these people, they're like in the light, they're enjoying life, things are good, and they're exploring like they're supposed to be because they're good Star Alliance people. But meanwhile, their teammate back here is getting is about to get destroyed by this thing that is coming down on him, whether it's an imp of some sort, a dust imp or not, or if it is EA, I don't know. But it could be any of those things. The color palette here, like you said, is absolutely wonderful. Orange and purple contrast each other greatly. So but they're still like bright enough and nice enough to be interesting, right? So that's a big plus for me as far as that goes as well.
100%. And so now that I got that sneeze out of the way, I apologize. We were also referring to that he would be a red shirt if this was Star Trek. And of course, Star Alliance has lots of awesome references. Keyforge in general just has lots of pop culture references. And in this case, I think that they went with a different shade. And maybe it's something that the viewers and us should potentially look into. It's like, is the orange shirt the red shirt version of Keyforge? Maybe potentially. Now that we brought it up, I kind of want to look at the other art pieces and see if there's any other art pieces where you looked at and you're like, yeah, that's definitely the group that is always taken out first. Which, if you watch the new Star Trek, they try to avoid the red shirts always dying first. But hey, I like the traditional ways. Some other interesting things that I find with this picture here, though, it's just I love the look of the hapless cadet here, and like he's just like he looks so sad, or she looks so sad. This cat just is so sad. He's like, oh no, this isn't good for me at all, and and I'm curious. So even with the focus being on the cat itself and being in this disc cave, like I said, I'm curious what they're trying to explore. And the more I look at the picture, I realize that the cave is a little bit more alive than I originally realized. Right, like if you look at the cave, there's sacks, so there's something growing in these sacks. So you can see like the veins. You can't see any type of creatures, but those sacks are probably alive with whatever creature or whatever fluids or something. Maybe the cave it's alive itself, or maybe there is little baby disc creatures coming out of this cave. But hey, they're just curious. They're probably on the new planet trying to figure out what's going on. They see they're going to go further down and find out, but the cadet's not going to make it. And but they tried. He tried. It's probably his first day on the job, unfortunately, and this is what's going on. The other color pops I do like here. So we talked about the purple, the orange is really mixing well. I like. Also the glow effects, so the lighting effects that you get from just his space suit that you have there. Like I said, it's very stereotypical of like almost like any space genre or anything that yeah is in the space with the lights coming from the bottom, but it has a excellent glow effect of it coming up and having that shadow, which I think Jupiter hinted on already. And you can see the shadow, the dread on his face, because the bottom of his face is lit up, but with this looming shadow, with this like spider-like creature potentially coming down on him. But at the same time, it may not be a spider creature, or maybe it's just a reflection, because I see what looks like a spider on the top of his helmet here, but I also see what looks like either claws or fangs or something, and you can see the reflection in his eyes, and you can see it on the sides there. So it's just an awesome piece of art in that aspect. And yeah, I just like the little touches as well. His blaster, just having a little bit of the glow of the red. The blaster's ready to go, but he's not going to be able to pick it up in time. Having the light source coming from the other Star Alliance guys in the background, you can tell that the only light sources here, it would be completely pitch black, in my opinion, without the light sources of whatever they're investigating back there, and the light sources from their own suits. Basically, their suits are providing the only light in this cave, and it feels very much just like what you would expect. Star Alliance, they're exploring, trying to find new planets, trying to figure out what potentially is here. It's just this unfortunate cadet, this hapless cadet, is going to find out in all the wrong ways.
It's funny, like you mentioned the lighting too, because this is kind of like what you learn when you're doing streaming as you play around with your lights and stuff. Is that like having a backlight and having a light across from it, like and basically counterpointing it, will make you pop out more, right? Like if you don't have that backlighting behind your main lighting, then sometimes you don't get that well-defined facial element. And here, I think he did a really cool job of using like the lights inside of the neck piece there. You can see to light up the bottom part of his chin and stuff, like inside the helmet, and it causes for a reason for there to be a reflection of the thing that is descending upon him, whatever you want to call it. And then with that same kind of light, I think that all these like jagged stalactites and stalagmites, that's what the parts in his eyes are probably, is like basically just the light because it's catching that front light, but it's also getting the backlight from what like behind them with all that light that's behind him. So like the lighting technique and the light play here is just absolutely phenomenal, even to the point where you get like the little highlighted blurbs like on the kneecap, like on the one that's on the ground, like on the corner of the kneecap. That's such a bright light there that that little piece of metal is like hitting and like illuminating, and all this illumination is what's causing these spiders probably to have a purpose to come after him because I was looking up all the different demons and stuff, and it was on Shaffles that says, "You want to know how you get imps?" or something was the quote, and it's like basically Shaffles goes after Amber, right? So and Amber is usually bright or has energy evolved with it, and that is kind of the way of Dees. So like there you go, like whatever it is, whether it's EA or not, like it's some form of imp, I think, that is basically coming after him. The exact quote was, "Do you want imps? This is how you get imps." Like basically saying like you just don't bring energy or amber around, and that's what Star Alliance is looking for. Is they're looking to basically learn about this thing called amber and stuff. And it looks like they almost found a vault back there. There's so much light, right? So you can either look at it as that's the entrance, or maybe they found a vault and there's like a ton of energy like pouring out and making this light. So it could be either way, but I'm gonna pretend like it's a vault because I think they're pretty deep in. And because this Hapless Cadet wouldn't be so scared if he wasn't didn't know that him and his away team were pretty pinned in at this point, right?
Yeah, 100%. Um, so just I don't have anything else for the card itself. Sorry, the art itself without referencing the card. Though I did just pick up on one thing that is cropped out of the card as I was looking back and forth with the two files. If there's anything you want to cover, Jupiter, that comes to mind before we start talking about the card, by all means.
Oh no, I think we've nailed it pretty good. The cropped card is definitely interesting, so we'll see what happens there. But what you have to say about it. But basically, the card itself is this right here. It is the Hapless Cadet, 3 power, no armor because he's not that strong. But he does have taunt, so he's always the first one to get attacked. And then he's basically when he's destroyed, the opponent loses 3 amber. So that is the card itself. I'll let you talk about it, and then we can do our grading.
100%. So I think what did I do there? I just closed the picture. I think what we get here is the cropping at the bottom is the interesting part that I want to say. So some of the things that I notice that pop out a little bit more in the full piece of art. Now, this is because we're looking on our PC and it's more, you're just getting, it's a higher res picture, of course. So things that pop out more to me is that um, the actual blaster itself is resonating a little bit more. All the lights just are a little bit more bright. Also, the light that's coming from more inside of the cave with the other away team members there, just a little bit more bright, and that's interesting. Another aspect that is a little bit more subtle in the card is that I don't see the shadow of the creature as much when I play Keyforge and I play this card. And mind you, this is a rare card, so that means I haven't seen the card in many of my decks. I think I own maybe 2 or 3 decks with Hapless Cadet because it is a rare card. For those that don't play the card game, that just means that there's a much lower chance of it showing up in a random deck. But the shadow effect of whatever creature is about to pounce on them it's a little bit more subtle in the actual card versus the full art. And then the biggest item I want to cover is right where it says Hapless Cadet, which is actually kind of funny. That that border, the golden border there where it says Hapless Cadet, is exactly where there's a shadow that is being covered that you can see in the full art, and that's the shadow of the creature. Like either it's like the tentacles, so signs of it potentially being an imp, or its jaw, its mouth, or it's up to your imagination. That's one of the things I love about Keyforge is having aspects where you can imagine. So it doesn't have to be E on the fringes. It could be a creature of your nightmares type of thing, and it just has all these claws. It has all these fangs. It might be horns. Who knows? I think it's like tentacles or claws, not claws, but teeth or something like that. But I really like that shadow that is looming over, that is starting to go over his weapon, that is getting closer to him, which is something that is cropped out in the card itself, which is almost unfortunate. I think it would have been nice to have that, but hey, it's hard to capture everything. I think the biggest thing to capture it they caught, which is the cat itself. Like you see this cat, I don't know what was upsetting it in the card, but now that I see this full art, it's definitely some sort of dis creature that is ready to pounce.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more subtle here, and I think it was with intention too. I think there was a little bit of reworks in some of the areas as well because the colors are different, definitely a little bit more muted on the card, and I don't know if that's because of the card stock, but also like the figures are less defined, like they're more shadowy in the background. If you notice, like in the actual full art, like you kind of see definition, right? You can see that the one guy is probably human, the one guy is definitely an alien. You know, you can see the thing at the bottom looks kind of like a bot, but in the card art, it's like the thing at the bottom might not be a bot. It could be a human. Like if I didn't already have a predisposition to it, like it could be a human bent over, like on the ground looking at stuff. Like maybe this cadet was when he dropped his blaster because he got scared, like out of his mind by this thing that's descending upon him. But also his arm is a little bit thinner. It looks like in the card art. Like just based on the design, like, and I don't think that. I think it's just an illusion of the way that the light was muted, but because the spacing and stuff looks similar, very similar. So I'm guessing it's just the way that they've recreated this light source and made it more dark from the back and more light from the front, which makes me feel like they found an amber vault even more on the card. And then I also noticed that like with this darker like push pull of the color, you get like a cooler looking cave as well, and it's a little bit more ominous because it's so dark. And they still have the pods, like the pods still have a pretty good showing in the upper left hand corner as well. So the whole idea of the disc and like, oh, you open the vault, look at all the energy that's being poured out of the vault. Oh my God, we found something amazing. And then all of a sudden the disc creatures stir because now you've got their attention.
100%. And so, which one do you think you like more? Do you like the full art piece or the way that it was done, finalized on the card itself? It's a little bit of a trick question, but I'll ask you anyhow.
It's not really a trick question, it's my opinion, right? So, I like them both for different reasons. Like, hmm.
And that's fine. And like I think that's a fair assessment to liking them both. And that's one of the things for our viewers for sure is that uh, doing these casts where we're talking about the art has been fun because like I obviously both Jupiter and myself love the art on the cards, and then having filling in the story of what we think things might be and what you guys think it might be, and seeing some of the subtle differences. So we're talking about like it's a little bit darker or a little bit brighter in the various parts. It's just kind of a little bit of almost like little Easter eggs or a little bit of fun trivia to see like what the full card, the full art looked like versus what went on to the card itself. So it's just always interesting. And FFG is known for adding stuff to cards, so changing the brightness. I shouldn't say they're known for this. More say that maybe it's not as well known. Is that some of the cards you will see that they make little subtle differences, and they really experiment more. I'm just taking the time here to say they've really experimented more with Keyforge. So they have done things with Keyforge where they'll take the same creature, and I think we saw it. Was it Worlds Collide or was it Mass? I think it was Worlds Collide that we saw it first. Where like yeah, Worlds Collide, because we saw it with Brobnar, for example, where they just added a little bit of layer and a little bit of flare, where like things were brighter and had more flames and stuff. That might be something that we'll want to look at in a future cast. And then in mass mutations, I think that's where they brought in the different mutations. So exactly that. So you'd have different creatures with different mutations, and so they playing with the art a little bit. So just fun little interesting little things like that. And in this case, just so little things with like the brightness. Um, just a little bit on that, but let's get into before I go too much on a tangent with this, because I'm going way off my script here.
We don't we
Just
don't
to
we
get
don't we
back.
don't script though. That's another thing too. Is like we don't really script these. We just go with the flow and have so you guys have a natural reaction. Every time when we say script, there really isn't a script. But I'm gonna go back and now that I've had time to look at both, I like both, but I think I like the polished one a little bit better than I like the card one. That's my final
You
answer.
fell into you fell into my trap card. The reason why I say it was a trick question is that I think 98% of the time, and I would love the viewers to tell me otherwise. 98% of the time, why would we not like the full piece of art more? Just to me,
Hmm.
it's just more of the art. It's more of the art that we already love. So, like, I am always excited as a gamer to see what I didn't see. What was I missing? What was that thing behind the vault? In this case, was the thing behind the borders that I couldn't see and whatnot. I think as players, like for relating it back to the card game, this is why I get so excited when they do promo cards that are just what is called quote unquote full bleed. Because when you give me a full bleed card and you're telling me there's just more artwork on the card, is an interesting item. Also, it segues into I'm going to try to get a artist on our channel here, and he actually takes Keyforge art and turns it into full bleed. And he's actually said he has some interest on coming on if he has the spare
Is this
capacity.
is
I
this
don't know
Ollie
if you know
Hodge?
who. It is, yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's a good.
he said he'd be interested on potentially coming on, and I love some of the stuff that he's done and how he's interpreted. So I think he'd be a fun little guest to have on our cast for sure.
Yeah, like and this is like again unscripted. I had no idea he'd been talking to Ollie, but I always give Ollie props for Archon Altars. That's the name of his like what he does with the cards and stuff. And he's out of England, so like the time would have to change for him probably, I'm sure. But he does great stuff, plays great Keyforge. He is part of one of the teams there that I'm not going to name because I'm not sure which one. I get them all confused. But he's a very active player, and I want to say London Urchins, but I'm probably wrong. Um, so like yeah, we would definitely love to have Ollie on if that's something he's interested in, and anybody else that does art. And that's a good segue for a quick little teaser here. That next episode that we do is going to be a special episode, but we'll go into
Oh,
more details later.
100%, yeah. So this is the time that we normally talk about what we think, how does the artwork relate to the card itself. So in this case, Jupiter already said, but I'll repeat here just for the viewers' attention, even though we have it on screen for you, is so the card itself is a 3 power, no armor, Hapless Cadet. It's a creature. It's also an alien. So the Jupiter didn't mention this part, but the reason why it's an alien, it doesn't have like some sort of cat-like animal name to represent all the cat creatures in Keyforge, is that the designers of Keyforge actually said that they love creating all these species and whatnot, but that they want to limit it somewhat so that there's just a limited quantity of the different types that we've known. So this species may come out later on. Like if there's a real joy, like if fans really like the Hapless Cadet, like comment in our on our video and say like, yeah, this guy's great. We'd love to see more of this creature type. They may add it. It may stay as an alien creature for a while, but then later on in future sets, they might make it into a full house. Maybe it's going to be a full creature type, an archetype. But the alien, this is all to say that alien just represents the various alien or um, different types of creatures within the Crucible that they don't go out and name. And I think this is really interesting, as well as I think this represents not just the cadet himself, but I think that basically all the creatures except for maybe the one on the right are different types of aliens or robots or whatnot. So just a little bit of a trivia thing there. But yeah, 3 power, taunt, destroyed, your opponent loses 3 amber. So you want me to go first, or you want to go first on what we think of how this relates to the card?
Well, it's your card, so I guess I'm supposed to go first according to our
Oh
prior
yes.
protocol. So, with that said, I am going to give this card. Taunt, I think, is great.
Uh,
I think Taunt is absolutely amazing for what this card is supposed to be entailing and stuff like that. So that gets high points for me. I think the Taunt is perfect, spot on, and the fact that he has no armor or really belongs in the realm of being a Taunt type creature, since almost everything in the world can kill him with one shot. Other than imps, they need multiple imps to kill him. So 3 is an interesting number for me. Um, but yeah, destroy your opponent loses 3 amber. That's just kind of like where I'm like thinking to myself, how does this fit into a hapless cadet? Like, if my cadet dies, is it because they're in the vault and they have a chance to get away because he's dying? Like, maybe. Like, so that's kind of a stretch. But I don't understand the opponent loses 3 amber aspect of this that well. So I'm gonna have to deduct for that. So I'm probably gonna go with like a 7.
and so I'm gonna give my I'm gonna story this up a little bit. So I agree that the taunt is fantastic, and this is the reason why I think taunt is fantastic. Not in the normal way that you think taunt is fantastic. Like to me, when I think of taunt, I think like of a big sanctum creature with a giant shield holding the line, or a big Brobnar creature that is just like this massive giant that is so big that you can't get around them. You have to go through them. In this case, hapless cadet, because the unfortunate cadet got in the way of whatever would have attacked the other creatures. uh, he unfortunately was there first. That end of story. He's literally being attacked first, not because he has that normal sense of like duty or honor or any of that. No, he's just the unfortunate cadet that got in the way of the creature. So you have to run through this unfortunate cadet, this hapless cadet, to get to the enemy's line, basically. And I love that. So I actually that does get a boost for me. It gets quite a few points as well for the taunt, because I think that's absolutely hilarious when I put that in my own head. For the destroyed part, I do have a story for this one. Is that I think, imagine your favorite pet, like your favorite, you love your cat, you love your dog, and I don't think the hapless cadet is by any means a pet. In this case, I think that he's the person that everyone's like, hey, I'm gonna call him Garfield. I'm just gonna nickname him Garfield for obvious reasons. They're like, Garfield, you make this trip so great. Like you make this so much fun. We've really been enjoying this experience. We went through the boot camp with you and all this stuff, and he's the life of the party, in the sense that like he just makes things a little bit more fun and whatnot. So random tangent with that, but that's to say that when he gets absolutely slaughtered here by this creature, which is bound to happen, I think those 3 other Star Alliance members turn around absolutely horrified of what they just saw, and they just go to town on whatever took him out, and they're like, hey, we don't care if you have an archon, we're taking we're just going to destroy anything that was on you. So if that creature had captured amber or had amber on itself, they are obliterating whatever destroyed the Hapless Cadet, and they don't care. So for each creature there, they're doing enough damage that it destroys 3 amber worth of material. That is my crazy story, but it's just that it's a fun little story. Overall, even though I said all that, I only give it a 6 out of 10 because I think the
Hold on.
taunt is.
I had a eureka moment of revelation while you were talking. And this is one I had not thought about, but this might change your 6 at least a little bit. It changes me up to an 8. So here's the reason why. And actually, this makes it almost a 10 because I love this card. I'm gonna make it a 9. Okay, and this is the stretch for me, right? This is the cool story for me. All right, everything I said before, I hold like true, right, up to the point of the destroyed effect, and not understanding how this destroyed effect would make my opponent lose 3 amber, but I just figured out why. His armlet, his dongle or whatever you want to call the thing is on his arm. It's registering lethal, right? It's basically telling him, oh shit, something bad is happening. Sorry, this is PG-13. But like he's like, oh, something bad is about to happen and stuff like that. So what if, like in his moments, like his suit is basically programmed to blow himself up, to basically not leave somebody behind, for them to basically be able to like take in and study the people who are on these away teams. Like it's basically like one of those like science type things where it's like we don't understand these species, and maybe we don't want the demons to know like anything about us, so therefore we have like a self-destruct mechanism. So therefore
Uh, oh wow. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so therefore like the opponents would lose 3 amber because he would basically take out the whole slew of demons that are attacking him and therefore saving his friends.
All right, so I don't know how good your editing skills are, Jupiter, but I'm going to put you to the test. You need to edit into the final video here. Original Predator movie with the alien dying, and he's pressing in the self-destruct on his dongle himself, where he's like facing Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's just like putting in the self-destruction, and he's gonna try to blow him up.
Yeah, I'm
Except
not
with
touching.
Hapless Cadet's face.
Yeah, I'm not touching anything that is video related because that's copyright. So I'm not touching it.
Yeah,
but
that's
I
fine.
but I
I,
promise you that I will do something special for this segment that we just did.
no, so a 9 out of 10 is your final score with that, but I do see that as you can at least take the picture of the predator, but I do I could see that. I could see that. I think I'm not going to change my score. I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna stick to my 6 out of 10 because I think that's a story that I feel like I'm forcing it a bit. You know what? Fine, Jupiter. I'll give it a 7. I'm not raising mine
That's fair.
too much higher because I like your story just enough that I think that not only do they turn around, but his self-destruct goes off like that, and they just have tears coming down their eye because they just lost the hapless cadet, this unfortunate cadet, and unfortunately, I don't even think anyone knows his real name. They called him Garfield, but that was the nickname that they gave them because one of the Earthlings was like, "Yeah, he reminds me of a cat I used to have." But it's unfortunate. They'll never know his true name.
It was Angus. That's my cat's name that looks like that. Just kidding. But yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, that's it. The Hapless Cadet was fun. Like this is a great card. The artwork is super like just fun. Like I love like everything about Hapless Cadet. And the cool thing is also like we usually do with Brendan L. Hunt's art. If you go through and you just look at his art, he has a way of capturing a spirit about his art. Like where like you really get an emotion or you get some kind of like real like something that stirs you in his artwork. The way he does it. Like I don't know what it is, but like everything he does, even like his pictures he did of Elsa and in the Frozen casts and stuff like that. They're not traditional Disney like type arts and stuff like that, but they still are cool and they have like a story to them, like the greedy goblins and things like that he's done. Like I really enjoy like a lot of just the spirit of his art. And I think the best one I enjoyed the most was the marshmallows in the hot chocolate. Like where one of them
Yeah,
is like relaxing and he's like, "Yeah, this feels great," and then like the other one's like, "Oh crap, we're melting." Like I
I
thought,
I think even though this is a A little bit off the normal topic. I love this picture. Like I just clicked on that one, and he's just like, I love that one of them is just like, what's happening to me? Like I'm dying. Like I'm just like I'm slowly dying. The other one's like loving it. He's just like, oh my god, this is the best moment of my life. Like I I would love to have this as like an ugly Christmas sweater. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this would be oh, that'd be hilarious. Oh man,
Well, there you go, Brandon L.
Brandon.
Hunt. There you go.
Solid gold right there. Turn that into an ugly Christmas sweater. Free money.
Yeah. It's awesome. He's got
But yeah,
He's also got Mortal Kombat art and like some other stuff like looks like Warcraft and stuff. So like lots of Disney off takes and stuff like just really super cool stuff. Like a lot of it is just very whimsical, I guess is a good word, in nature, and it has like all kinds of thing. He has a picture of two cats that look like the Hapless Cadet, and they're like so happy, and it's like I could see one of them being evolved into the Hapless Cadet and dying, so it's sad.
okay. Unfortunately, I'm gonna get you to edit in when the hapless cadet when he dies. I'm pretty sure this is his family that he leaves behind. I'm sorry, Keyforge players. I'm sorry, but this is his family. He left these two cats behind. Oh man. But
Right.
but yeah, no. I think one of the reasons why his art's so much fun though is that one of the things that captures it for me as we go through some of his stuff and you look through this art station here is he really pays attention to the eyes, the
Mhm.
face, of course, in general, but the eye details of like the eyes seem a little bit more bigger than life in a lot of these, and it just really puts attention to whatever is going on. Like yeah, it's putting in a story, and that's the main thing is getting that a picture tells 1,000 words, and the eyes in this case probably tell 800 out of those 1,000 words for me.
It's also like the facial tensions and stuff and the way he does a person's face. He's very good at exaggerating smiles and making grimaces frown. I don't, it's just it's a very cool trick to have. Like I know that there's a lot of people out there that do a lot of facial things and stuff, and not only does he capture it in humans, but he captures it in like all his like fantasy creatures too. Like there's one of like a bunch of goblins looting like a gold pile with like a big dragon in the background just waiting. Like and it's like all of the goblins are like, "Oh, this is so great." And then one goblin's like, "Oh crap, I just heard something." Like it looks like he's like, "Oh, something's going on." The other one's just distracted by a skull. And then there's this big looming thing in the background that you don't notice right away, but it's like got a big old mouth looking down on them like, "Oh, you guys are trying to take my gold, are you?" Like game over. But like the face, all the faces, and like all his different pieces of art, like in the way that they just, he kind of just makes them like legit. And then there is the one picture that they have where he doesn't do faces because he has a bunch of like desperados or bandits or whatever, like Wild West one. I don't know if you see it, but they all have a different colored bandana on, and they're all Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle colored bandanas, by the way. Interesting, like choice of colors. But it's pretty neat because like you see them like walking through town and stuff like that. So there's not a lot of face to make anything cool. So then there's a rattlesnake on the ground they're stepping on. The snake is like in complete agony, like getting stepped on, and they're not scared of it as a little bit. So like there's that face that just brings you in and goes, wow, this is so whimsical and cool. Even though it's kind of a more serious looking piece. So very interesting.
No, yeah, 100%, and I like his little note there. It says another cowboy painting. I have some story ideas for these guys, so I might paint some more stuff. And Brandon, I think you should paint some more stuff. He goes on to say also their designs were influenced by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which you could probably tell, which
Oh
obviously Jupiter mentioned right away. So
yeah.
there's that. And yeah, I do love that you have all this, but the attention to little detail, him stepping on the rattlesnake and the rattlesnake having that little bit of spit coming out, or it looks like spit to me because he's just getting squeezed so tight there by the boot. Um, but I think not to cover too much of his stuff because we'll probably have to reach out to Brandon if you're interested in coming onto the channel. We clearly think you have some fun art here, and we would love to have you on.
Yeah, I didn't even see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing, but it was so obvious that I was able to catch it. See, like that's pretty neat. But yeah, so yeah, Brandon, please come on. Anybody that is that we're talking art or wants to talk art or does art and wants to talk art, like that has to do with Keyforge initially, but then we could talk about the rest of it too, because art just rocks, and we are very excited to be able to bring this podcast to you and stuff. But it's time for us to go. See you soon.
Bye, guys.